Right friends, welcome back to Q&A discussion. Here we are going to learn some new words like what is overheating of economy, what is the Greenfield project, what is meant by haircut, what is meant by bank run. All these new words we are going to deliberate in this Q&A discussion. The first one is, look at the following sentences or following programs. The programs of Ministry of Science and Technology I have given here. First one is Nidhi, second one is Inspire, third one is Kiran. Here Nidhi, National Initiative for Development and Harnessing Innovation, that is for building innovation driven entrepreneurial ecosystem. So this assumed a lot of significance in view of the startup culture which is building up in our country. So the program Nidhi, that is National Initiative for Development and Harnessing Innovation, this is for building innovation driven entrepreneurial ecosystem for wealth and job creation. So innovation is the main thing for developing entrepreneurship. Then innovation in science pursuit for inspired research or Inspire. What is the goal of Inspire? Please don't forget, these three are in fact belongs to Ministry of Science and Technology. The second one, Inspire, that is to tap students early in life and nurture them to take up science, basically to promote, or you can say to nurture or inculcate in the young students' minds to take up science research as the career. So that is this Inspire. Third one is Kiran. What is Kiran? Knowledge involvement in research advancement through nurturing. Kiran is also the program of Ministry of Science and Technology. This is basically to look at the scientific manpower of women related issues as far as women scientists are concerned. That is the program Kiran. So 1 and 2 correct, 3 is wrong. Look at the next one. Look at the following in view of global scenario in recent times. One is Palmyra, second one is Leptis Magna, third one is mummies. During the year 2016-17, these are in the news, and here I will explain one by one. Palmyra is correct, that is in Syria. Leptis Magna is not in North Korea, it is in Libya. It is one of the famous Roman sites in near Mediterranean. Then mummies, this is correct because they are under threat. But when you look at mummies, the country which should come to your mind is Egypt. But there is a news item that mummies are getting destroyed because of the civil war in Yemen. So technically speaking, mummies predominantly Egypt. But here I have taken this mummies Yemen because of the reason mummies in Yemen are being destroyed because of civil war. So here 1 and 3 correct, 2 please correct. Leptis Magna is of Libya. So let us go one by one. Palmyra. Palmyra is the location in Syria, historic city, World Heritage Site. And when you look at Palmyra, these are the monuments, and some of them were destroyed by IS. The famous include Temple of Baal, Temple of Baal Shamin or Baal Shamin Temple, and Arch of Triumph. Some of them are destroyed by Islamic State. And if someone talks about Palmyra, please don't forget Syria and Baal Shamin Temple, Baal Temple, Arch of Triumph. And if you look at Libya, one famous site is there, that is this Leptis Magna. This is one of the best preserved Roman ruins in the Mediterranean, right? But they are under threat now because of the civil situation in Libya. And if you look at mummies, in Yemen, there are very few mummies which are being preserved under controlled temperature as well as with chemicals. And now they are under threat because of civil war in civil war in Yemen. Please look into this picture. These are the picture of mummies, and this is the deceased human or animal whose skin and organs have been preserved. So in the good olden days, they might have got preserved because of the prevailing temperature or atmospheric conditions. Subsequently, at present, they are being preserved artificially by maintaining a cool condition as well as dry condition at the same time with some chemicals. So, these are under threat in now in MN because of the reason here electricity is the problem and chemicals are also not being available. Next one, quite often we hear about haircut in economy. This word is quite often we hear. Look at the following sentences. What is the meaning of haircut? Here it is the difference between loan amount and the actual value of the asset used as a collateral, and also it can be the difference between actual dues from a borrower and the amount he settles with the bank. Here both are correct. I will explain a little bit about this. Let us look at this example. Some State Bank of India has given loan of rupees 2 crores against this property as collateral security, but whatever the reason, at present the value of collateral property is rupees 1 crore now. It gave loan with collateral, but the customer is not paying back. Now to settle this case, State Bank has to assume loss of rupees 1 crore because 2 crore loan was given, property value is rupees 1 crore. So, the haircut which the State Bank of India has to take to settle this loan is 1 crore because the customer is not paying back. And at the same time, here you see State Bank of India has given loan to Kingfisher. Let us assume the loan is 200 crores, but the value which the company wants to settle with the bank is rupees 150 crore. Kingfisher is coming for settlement, but it says I cannot pay more than 150 crores. So, what is the haircut here? Haircut is 200 crores minus 150 crores. So, 50 crore loss will be there to State Bank of India, which is known as haircut. I have taken this because of the reason for the past 3-4 months, several news articles talk about haircut. So, haircut has got two meanings, and the third meaning all of you are familiar with, which is cutting the hair, right. Look into the next one. Quite often we hear about soft loans. Here I have given all the 4 sentences are correct. Please go through them. You will have clear idea about soft loan. Here soft loan is the loan normally with no interest or low interest, or you can say less than market interest. They are normally the loans given by multilateral financial institutions like World Bank, ADB, etc. Here the point to note is China has also given soft loans to some African countries, but in return China indirectly has taken some benefit from African countries. So, that is different, but here soft loans are normally given by multilateral lenders. Then they will also have lenient terms such as moratorium on repayment. Repayment, there will be moratorium for 3 years, 5 years, something like that. Then grace period will be there, that can be extended. And one important aspect, if you look at the soft loans, is IDA is the archon of World Bank, which is intended for giving soft loans to poorest of the poor countries across the world. All 4 correct. So, IDA is behind giving loans to poorest of the poor countries, and some of them are situated in African region, right. Next one, quite often we hear about structural reforms. Quite often we hear about structural reforms in the economy. What exactly the meaning of structural reforms? Please understand, structural reforms are long term reforms. I have given the first sentence, you see, these are the reforms to address long term aspects of the economy, like changes in the legal system, maybe tax reforms, land related reforms, then liberalization, deregulation, labor reforms. So, in the long term, so as to get long term benefit to the economy, they are called structural reforms. This word is quite often, please keep it in mind. Then fiscal stimulus is classified as policy under structural reforms is absolutely wrong. Fiscal stimulus is only for 1 year period to come out of some crisis within the short period. So, fiscal stimulus cannot be example of structural reform. Then structural reforms are aimed to improve the efficiency and competitiveness of the economy in the long run. Absolutely correct. Right, second one is wrong. Fiscal stimulus is short term to tide over the situation, but long term, that is structural reforms, means they look at improving the status of economy in the long run, like labor reforms, tax reforms, legal system reforms, then land related issues, then liberalization, then deregulation. So these are all known as structural reforms. Look at the next one. Here I have given GST is an example of cooperative federalism. Absolutely correct. It is example of cooperation. Second one, attracting more and more FDI by the states is an example of competitive federalism. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana are competing for attracting FDI. Similarly, Maharashtra and Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, they are competing one with the other. So this is example of competitive federalism, please understand. Then establishing labor intensive industries through MSMEs is an example of competitive populism. Absolutely wrong. What is the meaning of competitive populism? Competitive populism is not good for the economy. One state may give laptops, other state may give tablets, other state may give mobile phones free of cost, other state may give some subsidy for motorcycles. So these are all examples of competitive populism. So this is good for the economy, this is good for the economy, but this is not good for the economy as a whole. Right friends, 1 and 2 correct. Quite often we come across the term hidden hunger. What is the meaning of hidden hunger? Hidden hunger is lack of micronutrients in the diet. They may take lot of food, but micronutrients may be lacking. You see, vitamins, minerals, they may lack. We see quite often iron deficiency, anemia due to iron deficiency, vitamin A deficiency, zinc deficiency. So these are all examples of micronutrient deficiency, which is known as a hidden hunger. So if someone says hidden hunger, it is lack of micronutrients in the diet, and micronutrients in general are vitamins and minerals, please understand. Then we often hear about lower investment grade rating. Now India is not happy because we have got BBB minus, which is lower investment grade. So let us look at the sentences. Moody's Investor Service and S&P are the market leaders in the world in credit rating. Absolutely correct. These two enjoy 70 to 80% in the world. Moody's as well as Standard and Poor. So these two are the leaders in credit rating. Credit rating is given not only for companies but also for governments. Very, very important point. The next one is CRISIL is India's largest credit rating agency, and which enjoys around 50 to 60% of market share, and its majority shareholding is by Standard and Poor. These things don't forget. And CRISIL is India's largest credit rating agency, and at the same time CIBIL, Credit Information Bureau India Limited, that is India's largest credit information agency. Credit information agency's role is just collect the information, nothing else. Credit history is created, that is credit information agency. Credit rating agency's purpose is basically to give credit rating not only to companies but also to governments, right? So this is also correct, this is also correct. The lowest investment grade is BBB minus, and the grade from BB and downwards are known as non-investment grade, and topmost grading is AAA, right? So here all three are correct. So the lowest investment grade is BBB minus. So up to here these are investment grades, these are non-investment grades, please understand. Government launched Vidya Virta Abhiyan, and look at the following sentences. This is to encourage universities and educational institutions across the country to display portraits of Vir Chakra decorated soldiers. Vir Chakra decorated soldiers portraits will be encouraged to establish, or you can say these will be established in universities and educational institutions across the country. That is the main purpose of Vidya Virta Abhiyan. And Paramvir Chakra is the highest honor for displaying distinguished act of valor during war time only. So, second is wrong, please correct. This is war time only. Then it is given to Indian Army officers only, absolutely wrong. It may be given to Army, Navy or Air Force, but so far predominantly these are given for Army officers only. That is different story, but technically they can be given to any service officers. So, here one only correct. So, please do not forget about Vidya Virta Abhiyan. Look at the following models as far as highway construction contracts are concerned. And here, as per the government, there is multi-fold increase in the award of road contracts for development of highways in 2016-17 compared to 15-16. There is a lot of improvement in 2016-17 in comparison to 15-16, and government states that this is predominantly due to the hybrid annuity model. Now, most of the contracts are being awarded on hybrid annuity model, where the risk for the developer will be reduced. Government as well as the developer will share the construction cost. So, the risk element for the developer will be reduced. So, here the two famous models are engineering, procurement and construction, where the contractor will construct at the quoted cost. Second one is contractor will construct, they will operate and they will transfer after 20 years or 30 years. Here, if toll collection is not satisfactory, then the firms will suffer. Now, what the government has done? Government changed the model to hybrid annuity model. So, this is the main reason for giving more contracts in 2016-17. Right, look at the next one. Quite often we hear about greenfield projects. Which of the following aptly describes the meaning of greenfield? And in economy parlance, please do not forget the difference between greenfield project, brownfield project. Greenfield project is constructing the project or facility altogether as a new entity without the need to consider any prior work. So, it is altogether new project, maybe at a new place. Do not bother about the old project. It is not alteration to old project. It is altogether new project. Then we call it greenfield project. When some additions or modifications are done to the old project, that is a brownfield project. I am taking up with some examples. Hyderabad Airport is example of greenfield project. Chennai Airport is example of brownfield development, because existing airport is developed in Chennai, whereas in Hyderabad altogether new airport came up at Shamshabad, replacing Begumpet Airport. So, this is greenfield, this is brownfield, right. Evergreening of patents is quite often in the news. Evergreening of patents. Indian Patents Act discourages evergreening of patents. Evergreening of patents is patent period. If you invented something, the patent period is 20 years, and before the conclusion of 20 years, the firm, what they will do? They will make small changes, trivial changes, insignificant changes, and they will come up with it is new product. They will again apply for 20 years. So, this is the system of evergreening of patents, making trivial, small changes, insignificant changes in the existing patent and filing for new patent is known as evergreening. So, evergreening of patents quite often in the news. Similarly, evergreening of loans also may take place. Bank may give loan and regularly giving loans, and in fact, the principal is not repaid by the customer, and evergreening of loans also quite often in the news. But most of the times, this word evergreening is used with regard to these patents, and it is in the news in India because of pharmaceutical products. And Indian Patents Act discourages, there is one clause for preventing evergreening of patents. Then, National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. When you look at the disaster risk reduction, three things I would like to tell you. The first one is Here the Sendai framework looks at disaster risk. Then second point is the National Disaster Management Agency is held by the Prime Minister, but there is one national platform for disaster risk reduction. This is in fact headed by the Home Minister, very important, right. Then pneumococcal conjugate vaccine is introduced under Universal Immunization Program. In this connection, look at the following sentences. Here, pentavalent vaccine is available in all the states. Now, the government launched PCV or pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, and it was started recently at Mandi in Himachal Pradesh. And when you look at pneumonia, already to act against pneumonia, which is caused because of Haemophilus influenza type B, that is HIB, pentavalent vaccine is already there. Now, pentavalent vaccine is a part of the Universal Immunization Program, and it is extended to all the states of the country. So, pentavalent vaccine, please look into this. Pentavalent vaccine is a part of our Universal Immunization Program, and it protects against 5 deadly diseases, and out of 5 this Haemophilus influenza type B is one, and whooping cough, tetanus, hepatitis B and diphtheria. So, these 5 diseases are prevented with pentavalent vaccine. Now, the government launched the vaccine, that is pneumococcal conjugate or PCV. This gives protection not only against pneumococcal pneumonia and also against meningitis. So, the pneumonia caused by Haemophilus influenza type B is prevented by pentavalent vaccine. At the same time, the pneumonia caused by pneumococcal bacteria is prevented by this vaccine, and pneumococcal as well as HIB pneumonias are both caused by bacteria, that is very important. So, all 3 correct. Look into the next one. Handset manufacturing industry of mobile phones has shown dramatic increase in recent times, In fact, handset manufacturers established their industry in our country. During the last 2 years, several handset manufacturing units, mobile companies, accessory units, mobile components accessory units started their operations in India. Here, look at the following sentences. Majority of the components of mobile phones are being indigenously manufactured. Absolutely wrong. Though the companies established their bases in our country, or you can say manufacturing companies established several companies here, lot of mobile manufacturing companies came into existence during the past 2 years. So, the unfortunate aspect is they are just importing the components, assembling them, selling it. So, here these 2 are wrong. Here what I mean to say is majority of the components are imported into the country, not indigenously manufactured. We are talking about make in India, but what is being done is, please look into it, most of the components are imported. Then second one is local value addition for imported components is not there. This is also wrong. Local value addition is just 6% or 7%. They are just importing various components, accessories, then they are what they are doing, they are just assembling and selling straight away. So, in India, unfortunate aspect as far as mobile set manufacturing is, first one, majority of the components we are importing. Second one is, here value addition created is absolutely minimum, 6%, 7% in comparison to 35% in Vietnam. So, both the sentences are wrong. When you look at the state fiscal position, look at the following sentences. Because of Uday, here the state gross fiscal deficits as a percentage of GDP crossed 3%, absolutely correct. 3% is the limit set under Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, and now because of Uday, state gross fiscal deficits crossed 3%. Second one is, out of the liability governments, now the maximum share is by market borrowings, around 70 to 80% are by market borrowings, and the component of center's borrowing to states, or you can say states borrowing from center reduced drastically, and at the same time national small savings funds liabilities also reduced drastically, right. So, both are correct. Out of the liabilities of state governments, market borrowings are now predominant in comparison to share of NSSF's liabilities as well as states' dependence on loans from the center. Right, from examination perspective, please understand, out of the states' borrowings, maximum contribution is by market borrowings by states, and the contribution from NSSF as well as dependence on loans from the center reduced drastically. Next one, quite often we hear about overheating of the economy. What is meant by overheating? Prolonged period of good economic growth. If the economic growth is quite good for substantial time, then what happens? It increases consumer wealth, and that may result into overheating of economy. What are the signs? In fact, increasing rates of inflation is the sign of the overheating of economy. Second one is wrong. Increasing rates of inflation is the sign of overheating of economy, and subsequently what the central bank will do, once it recognizes overheating of economy, it will try to increase the interest rates, right. So, here this is also wrong. 3 points when you look at overheating, please do not forget, prolonged periods of good economic growth followed by increased rates of inflation is the sign of the overheating of economy, and when overheating is noticed, the central banks will try to increase interest rates so as to reduce the consumer demand, so as to reduce inflation. So, friends, one is only correct. Quite often protectionism is in the news. Look at the following sentences. These are the government's policies that restrict international trade. Absolutely, nowadays several advanced economies are looking at protectionism. These are the measures which can be called opposite to liberalization. Absolutely correct. And the third sentence is wrong. Protectionist measures are being undertaken by developed countries mostly, not the developing countries. Most of the developed countries are taking this protectionist measures. So, third one is wrong. 1, 2 are correct, right. Look at the next one. Quite often we hear about bank run. What is the meaning of bank run? The first one is wrong. It is not the situation, or you can say it is not the situation when bank has become insolvent. Bank has not become insolvent. What happens is, when large number of customers of a bank withdraw their deposits simultaneously, that is bank run. There is panicky situation. Because of some panic, large number of customers go to the bank and withdraw money, and that is the situation. And sometimes what happens, very rarely what happens, as more and more people withdraw funds, then sometimes it may lead to default. Very rarely it may lead to default. So, here it occurs when a large number of customers of a bank withdraw their deposits simultaneously. Next one is, as more and more people withdraw funds, then sometimes, rarely it may lead to default. So, 2 and 3 is correct. So, it is not the situation of insolvent, right. Look at the last one. Quite often we hear about business cycles. First one is, expansion is the period from trough to peak. In the business cycle, if you see, from trough to peak, this is generally expansion. From peak to trough, this is contraction. Absolutely correct. And the contraction cycle is normally longer. Absolutely wrong. The expansion cycle is normally longer than the contraction cycle. Please understand, the expansion cycle is normally longer than the contraction cycle. So, the second sentence is wrong, right. So, one only correct, right, friends. Today we discussed several most important aspects which pertain to contemporary things, right, friends. We will meet once again tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day. Thank you.